says what?
I want to play a game.
I see dead people.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein!
We are the weirdos, mister.
Welcome to the Horror Speaks podcast.
Welcome, you weirdos, to another episode of the Horror Speaks podcast. Here you're joined with Whitney,
Michael,
Jason,
and Sydney.
And we're going to be discussing our rest of our 2024 recaps, part 2. And we have a lot that we're going to go over and some that we're going to talk about that's probably not good 2024 movies.
yeah, so the good ones, the bad ones.
and the shit.
The
What?
good, the bad, and the ugly.
Good, the bad, and the shit.
Oh, yeah. We're also going to go over a recently watched movie, Presents.
Yep, Presence was good. That's a 2025, but we just recently saw it, so I feel like it's a need to discuss.
And we're going to go into our upcoming 2025 movies and what we're excited about,
And we're just going to collectively have a discussion.
like we do.
So the first movie that we're going to discuss is a movie called Don't Move. It was obviously done in 2024. It was directed by Adam Schindler and Brian Netto. It features Kelsey Asbill as Iris and Finn Wittrock as Richard. And if anybody doesn't know, Finn Wittrock he played in American Horror Story, and I forget what other stuff that he did.
American Horror Story.
American
that's where
Horror
I know him
Story,
from.
yeah. The film was released on Netflix on October 25th, 2024. Small background if nobody has watched the movie. It's a tense, blood-soaked horror film that wastes no time getting straight to the action. The story follows a woman played by Kelsey Asbill who gets trapped in a deadly game with a sinister entity. Once she starts moving, it hunts her down. So the entire film is basically just nerve-wracking. It has chaos that erupts around her. The gore is intense. But yeah, basically it just follows her going to a memorial. She visits a memorial that she created for her hiking accident. Was it the loss of her young son? I think it was the loss of her young son.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
her son, yeah.
So she visits a California state park. She basically thinks about suicide. She's interrupted by Richard, a seemingly sympathetic stranger at first. After their brief interaction, Richard reveals his true intentions by attacking Iris, injecting her with a paralytic agent designed to gradually immobilize her. Realizing the severity of her situation, Iris escapes into the dense forest, initiating a tense game of cat and mouse. As the drug progressively takes effect, she must utilize her remaining mobility to evade Richard, seeking assistance from individuals she encounters, including a man named Bill. Bill got fucked. The film intensifies as Iris confronts both her physical limitations and psychological traumas, culminating in a suspenseful showdown that tests her resilience and will to survive. I think this movie has a lot of grief, survival, and human spirit capacities to basically overcome profound adversity. And it has a lot of tension in this movie. Like, as soon as she gets injected, as soon as she meets Richard, I feel like he was off to a bad start. I had my suspicions that he was up to no good.
Well, when she meets him, she's like going through grief. So she's like, oh, okay, well, this is
Very
a new friend.
vulnerable.
This is a new friend. And he's like, well, you don't have to do this, step back. Let's hang out and let's talk. And then they went to go out to they were going to go on a date, right?
Well, no, I mean, because remember when she's she's on the ledge and he kind of talks her off.
Yeah.
And then
They walk back to the cars together and he's parked way too close. Like she can't even open her door.
But weren't they going to go somewhere too in the movie?
Mm.
Or am I thinking of a different movie?
you're thinking of a different movie.
Yeah, you're thinking of
You're
a
thinking-
different
Whatever.
You're
I
thinking
think you're
of
thinking of the
of,
other
Strange
one.
Darling.
Strange Darling.
Strange Darling. Yeah, we'll get to that.
That one. Yeah, that one.
But this one was,
They're
I mean,
similar.
The guy Finn Wittrock was fantastic. I loved him in American Horror Story
He's also in Ratchet,
Freak Show. I've never seen that.
which was
Yeah,
another,
Freak Show was
which
great.
was a kind of like an American Horror Story kind of spinoff, but I don't think it.
Oh,
was
Ratchet, like
yeah.
Nurse Ratchet.
Yeah, Nurse
Right,
Ratchet,
okay,
yeah.
got it. Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was like I don't know, it was like kind of a different take for me because it was a weird kind of suspense,
It was.
you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said it was. I've heard a bunch of reviews. People hated it. I'm reading one review and they were like, "This is a waste of time and boring."
Yeah, there was a few moments that were boring, like when she got injected with the drug, and then it just kind of like just seeing her, scoot around to try to, find survival while Richard was basically hunting her.
Yeah,
But I like the slowness of it. I feel like it made it more intense when things got heated.
absolutely. And then her, slowly gaining her abilities back put her in a position to somewhat ask for help in certain situations. And those situations usually went south. And there was a lot of tension and frustration watching that. But I mean, it's, the movie's pretty good if it can rouse that out of you.
I was stressed.
Yeah, it was a very stressful piece. And then, of course, the ending was a nice change of pace for, a movie of this kind. And I know we both really appreciated the ending. And when it was over, we were just like, yeah, that was really good. He was just a bastard.
Oh, yeah.
He just, wow.
He was brutal.
Yeah. So
I think it's a cool concept. It was kind of like A Quiet Place where there wasn't a whole lot of sound in the movie, but it was more of her movement and the tense feeling of like how she's surviving, like how she's gonna get out of this. Like I think the scene that really got me was when she was behind the sofa in
Oof.
Bill's house.
Oh, yeah.
That
The
scene
guy
was
that
stressful.
she
yeah.
and Richard and Bill are having this conversation, and Richard obviously is like telling him he's this other person and he's looking for his wife and blah blah blah, and Bill's basically like, I don't know who you're talking about, kind of thing. And just seeing her like behind the sofa, and then once Richard and Bill has like that altercation and lights the house on fire and everything, it was like, how is she going to get out of this? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. But then, obviously she figures out a way, and then,
Well, I read something too that was like talked about, her dealing with her grief and how she was like metaphorically paralyzed before that, like,
Yeah.
she didn't want to do anything. Like she was stuck in one place and like,
She just wanted to end it. Yeah.
So she was kind of paralyzed the whole movie.
Right. But then when she was paralyzed and she was going through the motions, that's what made her realize that how alive she really was and that she wanted to be. And I thought that was really amazing how they brought that through, the experiences, and then certainly out toward the end. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I would say I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. I didn't hate it and I didn't necessarily love it, but I did appreciate the tense moments that the movie was able to produce.
I'd give it a 7.5.
It was a 6.5 for me.
Yeah, like I said, it was very like a slow burn kind of thing, but then like the tense moments made up for that. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. The tense parts were super tense, and for me, a lot of the times, like really nerve wracking and anxiety inducing, especially the house being on fire when she's like,
yeah, that scene was
I was
crazy.
I was almost like, can you just kill me so I don't have to be burned alive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7.2.
Okay.
I'm just
7.2.
I'm just gonna give it that weird
On the
rating.
Richter scale.
A
Yeah.
7.2.
The Ricky scale.
All
Anyways,
right.
Abbreviating that.
what is next?
Next is Strange Darling. And this was actually 2023.
It was 2023, but it got released in 2024.
Oh.
So we have carte blanche.
What?
We have carte blanche.
What's that mean?
It means
What that
that we
is.
can review it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
What that is.
All right.
All right.
Whatever you say, brother.
All right. Set in I lost my page. Set in rural Oregon, the film focuses on a man and a woman who have a one-night stand that devolves into a cat-and-mouse game of murder. It is divided into 6 chapters in non-linear order and presented as a dramatization of the pinnacle of a serial killer's years-long murder spree in the western United States. I absolutely loved this one. This one was definitely 10 out of 10. I feel like, it was such a good take, and I loved the non-linear chapter, like, telling of the story. I thought that really added to the suspense and just, like, the unraveling of, like, who's who and what's what.
Well, first we got to talk about Internet's crush in this movie,
Oh, go ahead.
Kyle Garner.
And Willa Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kyle Garner is
He's like the
he's
cute boy.
a scream
He's like
king, I
Yeah.
guess we would say it. You know, he was in Smile 2. And
Mhm.
Smile 1.
Smile too. He's
Yeah.
in Jennifer's Body.
He was in Jennifer's Body.
Yep.
He was that little emo kid in Jennifer's Body.
And
Oh.
and he
Love
in the abandoned house.
Yep, and we had Willa Fitzgerald. I'm not too familiar with Willa Fitzgerald movies, to be
She was
honest.
she was in the Scream series.
Yeah, she was also in the Fall of House of Usher.
I didn't see that.
You need
Yeah.
to. It's good.
Mhm.
It's good. It's good. But yeah, I was watching the movie, and of course my mind went to the way that the non-linear way wanted you to go. It wanted you to think that Kyle Garner's character was the bad guy the whole time and like all this.
That's how I thought too. I was like, this guy, what is he up to?
And if it would have been linear, that would have been the plot.
Can I just say that Kyle was great in the film,
Mhm.
but when the switch comes and you learn who's who, Willa Fitzgerald turned that up to 11.
Oh no, she did.
I mean, she was incredible in this film, and it really, that was something else, man. And this is brutal too.
Yeah, I mean, when they were in the truck and they were just like flirting with each other and talking about what they're gonna do, I was like, okay, is this some weird kind of like dynamic that they made online, and then they're just meeting in a hotel room and they're gonna play out like this crazy sex scene, which is what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she was on the bed and you know they were going through how this was gonna play out, I was like, okay, cool. They've already talked about this. This is just kind of something they're gonna do.
It's consensual.
Yeah, but then it just like they switch to different chapters and you're like, okay, what's going on here? And then you find out that like it was just her being crazy the whole time.
Mhm.
Wasn't even him.
And she drove him insane.
Yeah, I know.
And the
Uh,
film was shot on a 35 millimeter.
An Aria?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Shot by Giovanni Ribisi.
Giovanni Ribisi?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Y'all's pronunciations of that was
yeah.
completely different.
I know.
Well,
I'm bad at
'cause
pronouncing.
he was the weird guy in the Ted movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was in Avatar. He was also in one of those 80s television shows. I
Yep.
can't remember which one. Why can't I remember? Because I didn't watch it.
This one's definitely up there for one of my favorite of 2024.
Yeah.
I would say,
Absolutely.
really.
Agreed.
Because it's not like it's a movie that's not what you would expect it to be. And I think that's why I love this movie so much, because it's brainy, it's twisty, it's also like an indie thriller. It keeps you off balance pretty much throughout the entire movie. I think that the movie was definitely engaging. Like, it was something that you wanted to keep watching to see how all of this is going to tie in together.
Like, it almost forces you to, because the
Mhm.
pieces are not all just like one line of storytelling. Like, you're like, oh shit, well, I want to see what happens in chapter 2. Like, okay, well, we definitely need chapter 4 to get more context on this
Yep.
part, you know? So it's like reading a really good book. You're like, oh shit, flipping through the pages, you know?
In the scene where like they're in the cars and they're chasing each other in the cars and he just pulls out a gun and starts shooting her like towards her car and she gets out and like tries to run away. I was like, oh wow, this guy is really crazy. But then,
Well, they flipped the script on that. Yeah.
About halfway through the movie, though, I did ask, I was like, I wonder if she's the one with the crime spree, because
Yep.
she's not all together.
yeah, like even when they start going to the house and he puts her in the bathtub, right?
Well, she's in a deep freeze. She gets
Yeah,
into a
freezer,
deep
freezer,
freezer.
freezer, that's what it was.
Now there's a couple of
She gets in there.
there's a couple of really cool cameos in this, because the biker hippies, that's Barbara Hershey and Ed Begley Jr. And Ed Begley Jr. I remember he was Saint Elsewhere, I believe, was the show he was on back in the 80s with Howie Mandel, of all people. And Barbara Hershey, she was in The Entity, Last Temptation of Christ. She's done a lot. She was in Insidious. She's a fantastic actress. So it was really cool to see them in this.
Can we also talk about how I love that song Love Hurts? It's the one that played in the movie. That
makes
song
sense.
is great. But I mean, overall, this movie, it didn't have a strong narrative, I would say. I feel like the narrative wasn't all there, but with having the chapters and stuff and learning about everything as you watch it more, I think it all tied together. And overall, it was a really good movie. It was a different take on a thriller. I wouldn't say it's necessarily horror. It never there. I mean, sure, it was some gore in there, but it wasn't very scary per se. So I would say it was probably a psychological thriller kind of thing. I think one of the scenes that I really enjoyed was the scene where she was in, I don't know what it was. Was it a hotel or a right at the end where she was trying to get away and she slits that girl's throat?
Yeah, she's in the freezer. It was like a cabin.
No, it was when she was trying to get a car.
Oh yeah. She went into
Oh, there was an office,
Yeah, an
storefront.
office or a bank or something like that, and she was trying to get a car to get away, and I think she slits.
It was a medical. Well, it was weird because there was the one lady there that was trying to help her, and the other woman was like, "No, we shouldn't get involved."
Yeah,
but she was in scrubs also.
yeah.
So yeah,
Mental
I think
institution maybe or something like that.
No,
I
that's
don't
where
know.
she
Sort of
needed
medical.
to go.
Yeah.
Some sort of
She
medical
was somewhere.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
that scene was crazy.
I think I was a little bit ramped up, but I was really in awe of Fitzgerald's performance in that because she just went insane. I mean, but it was a controlled insane. It was like a very narcissistic type insane because she knew when to reel it in and when to placate other people and manipulate them, and then boom, it was wild.
Yeah, I really, like I said, I enjoyed this movie. It was great, 10 out of 10 for me because I love Kyle Gallner and everybody who played in the movie did a really excellent job.
All right, so next up is It's What's Inside on Netflix.
Not the name of Jason 60.
Right. This is a film by writer-director Greg Jardin, stars Brittany O'Grady, James Morosini, and Gavin Leatherwood. I don't know who any of those people are, but they were really good in this movie.
Can we talk about that last name too?
Leatherwood? Yeah, anyways. So the the plot of this film, or the summary, is a group of friends gather for a pre-wedding party that descends into an existential nightmare when a strange friend arrives with a mysterious game that awakens long-hidden secrets, desires, and grudges. So what did y'all think?
You guys recently saw this movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw this movie before you guys, and we kind of talked to you about it and told you how crazy it was.
Yeah.
What did you guys think? Because it's kind of fresh for you guys a little bit.
It is definitely something you have to pay attention, because if you don't pay attention, you're going to be really lost. And even still,
You're going to be lost.
You're going to be a tiny bit lost because they want it to be that way because of the twist. They want it to be that way.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
I really liked it. It was, again, another great idea and great execution. And I loved all the little just backstories when it would just be
Side quest.
yeah, like facts on the screen. I don't know, I just really liked that production, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, style.
Yeah, well, I like how they went into the movie and they were celebrating a party, they were doing some sort of celebration. I can't remember what, but it was a party, and they were like, "Oh, have you guys heard from Forbes? Where's Forbes? We haven't seen Forbes in a while. Forbes said he was gonna come," and then you're like, "Who the fuck is Forbes?"
Mhm.
And then Forbes comes in looking like Mark Zuckerberg, and you're like, "Oh, this is Forbes." And then Forbes comes in with this contraption where he can hook it up to your head, and then he can switch your consciousness. I can become somebody else, and that person becomes somebody else, and so on and so forth. And I like this movie a lot. It really, really made you think.
It was one of those movies kind of like Strange Darling and Don't Move. It was a different concept. It was a movie that you would that's hasn't really ever been done before, where you're switching your bodies and then you're trying to figure out kind of like a game per se. And it almost reminded me of like a murder mystery kind of thing. But I really liked the cinematography in this movie. I liked the sharp dialogue in this movie. I feel like everybody really did a good performance, especially when the characters began to question reality in each other. I loved the tension. Like, I felt like as soon as Forbes came through and they started playing this game, like the tension it got pretty high up
it
there.
went so off road.
There was a little tension before they got there between a couple of people with
Yeah,
jealousy and past
yeah.
flings.
Especially with the boyfriend and girlfriend who actually go to this party and they
Yeah.
show up. There's a lot there.
I loved how she
know.
got her like courage back though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at first she was kind of just like,
She's like, I can't say that, and then at the end she like tosses it back to him. So good.
Yeah, that was really good
Well,
because
there was, the thing about like Secret Desires and things coming out. I mean, that's really what sets this movie. It's really kind of like Murphy's Law at one point. It hits a point where something's going to happen. It's going to be bad, but you just don't know like how, again, off road it's going to go. And when it gets there, it's just like everything that can possibly go wrong does. And it's just a level of degree from that point. And the twist at the end was I thought that was really
was a good
fantastic.
twist.
Yeah.
I mean, it spirals because, spoiler alert, like, they're switched and people die.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
like
you're who actually is dead? Like, is it them or is it
The people
them?
that were, right. And that was another thing. I love the fact that the actors were playing characters who were actually acting like other characters.
Yeah, that
So
was
there was a
character
lot of
inception.
really weird shit going on at that movie at one time.
Yeah, it was like the couple that was on top of the ledge and they were, kissing and stuff. And
They were
then-
fucking.
Yeah.
Kissing
and
and
then-
hugging.
wasn't supposed to be fucking.
They're kissing and hugging.
They were boinking.
Yeah, they were doing something, and then they fell and died and did they both die or was
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
they both died. And then the people that were actually like they were them in a different body, they're like, okay, is my body dead? Like what,
Yeah.
So that was really
But
tense.
then with two people dead, and there were two people that were kind of unaccounted for in other people's bodies, then it just became a complete and total
'cause they
shit
were
show
like-
because they wanted their bodies back, and if not, they wanted. One of them was still alive,
Yeah.
and another person's. Oh, it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And
It was spiraling out of control kind of thing. Like you were just on the edge of your seat the entire duration of this movie.
Yeah, it was so good.
I think I would give it probably a 9 out of 10, honestly, because of the fact that it was a different take on a movie that you normally would not see, like the typical slasher, killer, monster type of horror. It was psychologically just crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that played Forbes, I was looking to see what he was in. Like, I don't know a lot of his movies, but he was in Fear Street Part 1.
He played also in that one movie with, I can't think of that movie now.
I'm not
He was
seeing
wearing
all-
glasses in that one in the movie I'm thinking of.
He just reminds me of Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, he definitely does have the.
Yeah, because he's got a face you want to slap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. So,
I like the movie. The twist at the end when you
Oh,
when
yeah.
you find out that like it's been his like sister the whole time. I was like, fuck.
yeah, when
Yeah.
they were at the funeral, right at the end, or memorial, or some shit like that.
Well, the main couples, it's a bachelor party. They're supposed to be getting
That's right,
married.
that's
and
right.
The next day, one of the people that dies, it's kind of weird. It's like hard to keep up because it's like two people die, but they're in other people's bodies. So two souls are gone and two bodies are not inhabitable anymore. So it's super weird. It was like hard to keep up. But when she's not, they just had to like play it off as she got left at the altar. So they're getting married at, their house. That's what she walks up on is what's supposed to be a wedding. Or Forbes walks up on. is supposed
I
to be a-
definitely need to watch this movie again. I feel like there's a lot that I saw, and there's a lot that I need to see again. So
Yeah, I give this movie a 8. My default again.
I'll do an 8.5.
definitely check it out. It's streaming on Netflix?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely give it a watch and make sure that you're paying attention because it'll take you on a roller coaster of a ride.
It is literally a mind fuck.
Yep,
Because they switch
literally.
minds and there's fucking in the movie.
My goodness.
What, too soon?
That was clever. And now we're at a point in the episode where I'm going to take a shit all over this next movie. And this is from 2024 called Hellhole. Should be called Asshole. And this is basically, okay, so this is by a guy, all right, hold on a second. John Adams and Toby Poser, aptly named. The writers are John Adams, Lulu Adams, and Toby Poser. And the stars are Toby Poser, John Adams, and Maximum Portman. So you're getting an idea of what's going on here? Yeah, good. So basically,
you didn't get a chance to answer.
It was rhetorical. The summary is, Hellhole hails from the filmmaking family behind Hellbender and centers on an American-led fracking crew that uncovers a living French soldier frozen in time from a Napoleonic campaign whose body hosts a parasitic monster. Now, I was kind of excited to see it.
I was about to say, what from that plot made you excited to see it?
Well, it just had this weird kind of like vibe to the trailer, you know. It was kind of gory, and they were saying, oh, it's all practical effects. Bullshit. There was so much CGI in this movie. The creature itself was practical, but the creature was cool, but that doesn't make a movie good. The dialogue was ridiculous. Had to choose my R word there. And then also, I mean, the acting was terrible, and it was just dumb. Like people shooting each other, getting like infested by this monster that goes up your ass. And it's like,
that's why it's called Hellhole.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my goodness. Thinking that
it was so, I really just tuned out like halfway through it because it just was dumb.
I mean, from hearing the plot that you just said, I lost it in the first word or two when you were, and I was like,
French soldier frozen in time.
I was like, what? Huh? I don't even want to see this.
Yeah, it was just really, the writing was bad. The editing was bad. It's just everything about it was so just bad.
Was this the weird one that was supposed to be like the guy who's wearing the makeup, and I was like, this is how people really walked around, or was that a different movie?
That was a different one, I think.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't really go anywhere. Nothing really happened. Just a lot of people go from here to there to find this monster, and they blow each other. They kill each other. And it was just like, this is like the dumbest fucking thing I've ever. Well, yeah. No, they blow each other up. If they would have blown each other, it might have held my interest a little longer because at least something would have been happening.
And then Hellhole would have made sense.
Right. Yeah. Right. Bonehole.
Now, do you agree with Rotten Tomatoes score of this movie being in an 84%?
No, absolutely not. I think it should be a 0.84%.
They mixed up the decimal point.
Yeah.
It's 8.4%.
Yeah. No, honestly, this movie, it just wasn't fun. It wasn't funny. There was nothing to it. There was nothing to it except for the monster. And the monster was okay.
Yeah, they didn't. I'm looking at like everything that these people were in, and they were in nothing.
I haven't seen Hellbender. I haven't seen it.
Well, the guy that directed this, right? Well, hold on, let me see. Let me make sure I'm reading right here. John Adams, the director.
Mm-hmm.
He directed
Second President.
No, wrong.
Makes good beer.
No, that's what I was thinking too.
Sam Adams.
Oh, yeah. That's his cousin.
Yeah.
The good cousin.
Anyway, he did a movie called Where the Devil Roams, and I mean, out of 37 reviews on Rotten Tomato, you want to guess the percentage I got?
100?
100.
Yeah.
But a 53% on the popcorn-o-meter.
I just, there just wasn't anything about this. It was just one of those movies where, I don't know, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there, and it got hyped up so hard. Like was seeing all sorts of advertisements about it, how much people love it. I thought it was garbage. It was absolute fucking garbage. A waste of my time, like Infested. Which is another one. I'm not going into that again because that was just a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm done being nice.
No,
Were you being nice?
No, well, I'm just saying if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie and it's going to make me feel like I'm wasting my time, which this absolutely fucking did, then I'm just gonna take a shit on it in the podcast.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad we didn't watch that. I think we saw it on, what was it on streaming wise?
Shudder.
It was Shudder. Yeah, it tried to be like clever and cheeky, and it just nothing. Not at all. Didn't hit any of the marks.
Sometimes I feel like there are a lot of Shudder movies. I feel like I like a lot of Shudder movies, but
Me too.
But then I feel like Shudder sometimes is the Tubi of horror.
They have a lot of B movies.
Oh,
Ugh.
oh, I'm offended by that.
You don't agree?
For paying $6 a month? I agree.
You agree.
I agree.
You have a monetary value on it, so you're like, okay, whatever. It's probably great.
It used to be only like $3 a month, and it was really bad then. They've actually really improved Shudder.
Yeah, Shudder has some really amazing films on it. A lot of great stuff. It's got some shit too. I mean, you got to expect that.
That's Creep Show.
I mean, sometimes you gotta watch the shit to get to the good stuff.
Well, true, but this was just boring and stupid, and nah. And
yeah, I hate a movie that you watch and then at the end it's just like, what? Why? I could have watched something better.
I'm gonna give it 1 star because they made it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to bring back from another episode,
Actually, I should give it 0 stars because they made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably shouldn't have made it at all.
I mean, to bring back from another episode we watched Mousetrap, which was about Mickey Mouse because Steamboat Willie's copyright ran out, so it's just fair game at that use.
Yeah, we wanted to give it a shot because it's like, oh, cool, Mickey Mouse in a horror movie. This is going to be kind of cool. Well, it was not cool.
It was just weird because he walked into this room and he had an old Mickey Mouse. Like an old Steamboat Willie mask in an IKEA glass cabinet, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, he really likes this, whatever. And then he had a projector in the middle of a room and a chair behind him. I was like, well, this guy really likes watching movies. Cool, whatever, cool, awesome. But then the mask it makes this ethereal sound, and it just kind of starts talking to him, and I'm like, what is going on here? But then it just turns into this weird paranormal kind of version of Scream,
where he kind of gets possessed with this Mickey Mouse entity,
and it's just your kind of typical slasher, but Mickey Mouse is killing everybody inside of
a fun house.
What you think is an adult Chuck E. Cheese kind of if Discovery Zone was still around, it would be Discovery Zone, but an adult Chuck E. Cheese, kind of mid-teen adult Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, okay, cool. But then this paranormal aspect of it started happening, and they're like, okay, well, watch this. And you watch the tapes that they're showing, the security tapes from it, and they're trying to find Mickey Mouse, and he just portals away to somewhere else in the place. He disappears and then pops up somewhere else. And you're like, this is dumb.
And the acting, I have to say, was the worst acting I probably have seen in a while. I couldn't even get through half of this movie, let alone 2/3 of it, it just wasn't, I don't know. I love a slasher film, and I love to see how directors and producers can make something like Mickey Mouse into a horror film. And I just couldn't get past the acting. I know in Terrifier, which we've already discussed, had not really good acting in the first one, but that movie, I don't know, that it made sense, This movie just made no sense. It just was awful.
No, guess who fell asleep in this one, and guess who watched it?
You watched it, she fell asleep.
I watched
and that
the whole
never
damn
happened.
thing.
That is so bizarre.
That never happens. I'm usually the one that will stay awake and watch it, but it bored me to death, and the acting was just so cringy.
Yeah.
Yep,
so definitely not even. Yeah, I'd give it a 0.
But let's not give up on Mickey Mouse completely, because we have Steamboat Willie coming out.
Oh, Screamboat.
Yeah, with David Howard Thorne.
I feel like that one's That one, I'm not going in having high expectations just because of the fact that it's
So,
Mickey Mouse.
yeah.
But me liking David Howard Thornton, I'm like, okay, I'll give this a shot because I really like him.
Yeah.
I mean, Terrifier, come on, like who doesn't like
And that
Horror.
other one that we watched, what was that recent one we watched with him?
Joker?
What was the Joker? Did you watch the Joker fan meet?
Joker's Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
I didn't like the makeup in it. It was a little weird,
Yeah.
but it reminded me more of the Batman games.
Oh,
Where he has like the strong jaw and it's like really long, you know?
the
Yeah.
Stream movie.
Extreme.
That one was another, wasn't that 2024? Was it 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was another movie that I just had zero expectations on being good.
It
Like I
wasn't-
wanted to go into it to enjoy it because of the fact that it had David Howard Thornton, and wasn't it directed by Damien, or was it directed by somebody
it
else?
was directed by
Somebody else.
Yeah, so I wanted to enjoy that movie, but the acting kind of sucked really bad. And I mean, David Howard Thornton didn't really have a whole huge role. I mean, he was I think one of the main killers in that movie, but he obviously didn't talk or anything like that. So his performance, you couldn't really judge it, but the other people, I don't know, that acting was just awful.
Stream was kind of like, you've seen 31?
No.
Okay. Well, nah, never mind. Never mind. It was kind of like 31 in the case of where like they're all in this place and like there's a certain amount of like killers that are tasked to kill these people. I don't know. It was
And
okay.
they're like
It was okay.
streaming it to these wealthy people to watch them kill these people that are staying in the hotel.
They're
And
kind of like taking bets on them.
Did we talk about this movie last time where they're all in the office building?
no,
Yeah.
that's the Belko
Mayhem.
experience.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm talking about Belko. That's what it
Mhm.
was.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think I did see that one. When you guys were talking about it, I was like, this sounds familiar.
Yeah, but Stream just was, I don't know, it just was Stream. The acting just wasn't.
well, I mean, look, you had a great cast in that. Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator. You had David Howard Thornton. You had Tim Curry,
Tony Todd.
and Tony Todd.
R.I.P.
But sometimes, it's like you can sell a movie on the steam of the actors, but does the movie really have what it takes?
Yeah, the plot was kind of
sometimes.
weird, and like I said,
It was very 31-ish. And
because it basically started off with this family. They're obviously having some issues, and then the dad's like, oh, let's just stay, have a family getaway kind of thing. So they go to this hotel apartment thing, and so then the one of the girls that's in the family rebels, and she goes off with these.
yeah, it's like no service, and so she like goes to a bar one night, and they just give her a drink, and then like she meets these other two people who end up being like killers in it, or they were just
Mm,
other people that were staying there, then ended up getting killed or something.
yeah, it was just weird.
Oh no, she ends up going to a concert with them
Yeah.
because her parents didn't want to take her or something like that. I don't know. This is how
I don't know.
memorable it was.
It was just, yeah, 0
Well,
stars for me.
It's like, I mean, I know everything's subjective, and like, Hellhole has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, me personally, I thought it was a completely incompetent piece of shit. But it's just, I mean, Stream is, I mean, yeah, I would see Stream to support,
Oh yeah.
DHT,
Yeah.
but I mean,
I guess I would give it a 3 on the mere fact that David Howard Thornton was in it, and he did a good job in the movie. But if the other people would have just performed a little bit better, I probably would have gotten it, because the plot is kind of interesting. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, there wasn't really a huge strong plot. I mean, obviously it was, they were on this, like, they were streaming, getting these people getting killed in the hotel and stuff, but like, I just wish the acting was a little bit better. And I know there's going to be other people that probably enjoyed this movie, but personally, I set myself up to have high expectations, and it just wasn't there for me.
Well, going to what you said, I hope a lot of people enjoyed this movie, and think a lot of people enjoyed this movie. A lot of people did enjoy this movie. It's got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 93% popcorn meter.
Wow.
like pop-o-meter. So that's like
That's crazy.
that's almost
It's still an
amazing.
average of 90.
Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like if you haven't seen 31, which is a Rob Zombie movie, and I think I want to. I don't know if 31 has Bill Moseley in it, but Bill Moseley is
It does have Bill
in
Moseley.
Stream. If you haven't seen 31, watch Stream first, and then watch 31.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I
31,
definitely think people could definitely give it a try. Like I said, my opinion is my opinion, and other people might have different opinions on it. But the acting of that family was just, especially the dad.
there was just not enough connection in that movie compared to a movie like 31. We need to watch 31 together
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be in another episode for me.
All right.
What's another movie that you thought was terrible this year?
Poo-poo.
Pip here. I don't know that I saw. I mean, honestly, the ones I didn't like are Infested. Did not like that at all. I'm sorry I watched the entire thing. And then Hellhole, but then there's Nosferatu. Those are the three that I really just did not like.
Yeah, I wanted to watch Infected just because of the mere fact that I love like
Well,
infected movies.
what was it about?
Infested was about like
Infested.
spiders. This spider that I don't really want to talk about it. I
Is that
really
bad?
don't. I really don't.
Well, and we've spent way too much time talking about the sexual vampire movie that is Nosferatu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we don't need to discuss that anymore. Everybody knows our opinions
Those are
on
just
it.
the three I didn't like.
So I guess we'll get into one of our newest, freshest movies of 2025, which actually was made in 2024 but came out in 2025. Whitney just pointed that out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Presence, which is Steven Soderbergh's newest kind of like, I guess, like what Cindy said. It's like a psychological drama.
Yeah, it's like a supernatural, psychological, dramatic thriller. Yeah.
So a family becomes. This is how the plot is. Like, I'm reading the synopsis online, and the synopsis is so cool because it's so plain. But if you put anything in the synopsis, I think it would give this movie away. So the synopsis says a family becomes convinced they are not alone after moving into their new home in the suburbs.
Yeah,
Anything else in that synopsis would have given the whole movie away.
probably. Yeah.
So,
I feel like in order to discuss this movie, we'll probably have to put some spoiler alerts out there.
well, the movie's 2 weeks old. If you haven't seen it yet and you care to see it, then why haven't you seen it? We're
Yeah.
spoiling it.
It's a spoiler type of discussion, just because I feel like we need to go really in depth with this because it's one of those movies.
It's got a lot of depth to it.
It's got a lot of depth to it. It's got a lot of emotion, a lot of tension, a lot of just family drama. I mean, it's just, and can we talk about how this movie was filmed on the POV of the entity or the presence, if
Well,
you will?
So I went into this movie. We saw the trailers, right? We were like, "Oh, scariest movie of all time," and you look on horror.
Oh, I didn't think that at all.
Well, I thought that, and it was a cool way to film a movie. Like, where have we ever seen a movie in the POV of a ghost?
I don't believe so, and that's one of the things I love most about it.
And that was really cool. And then I went into me being the guy that has to look up what every movie was filmed on. It was filmed with a camera that me and Whitney have.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was filmed with an A7 IV, which is maybe a couple more $100 than what me and Whitney have.
Yeah.
And a Ronin. I have a Ronin in the closet.
Nice.
Like, that's
Wow.
wild.
So you're saying we could make a movie?
We could.
We
Will
would just
we?
need some editing skills. Well, Michael's got some edit.
I mean, the post-production was great on the movie, but it was filmed with normal cameras. And like, because I was like, oh, maybe they're filming this on a GoPro because this is like very wide, like POV-ish, like. But then I looked it up and I was like, oh, A7, A9, like with a Ronin, that's pretty crazy. And then I watched the movie more and more, and I pointed this out to Whitney while we were watching it. I was like, hey, have you noticed like that every time they go up against a piece of glass or a mirror, they're looking to the side of it. They're never straight in front of the mirror, because if they're straight in front of a piece of glass, you're going to have a reflection unless you edit that out. There was one part in the movie where they went in front of a wooden like cabinet that had a glass piece on it, and that was the only time they ever went in front of a mirror,
Where you didn't
except
see
for the
anything.
end.
Mhm.
Like you never, they were always crooked on because it would give a reflection off, and I thought that was really cool to see that and see how they filmed it. But I thought it was really cool how you were the ghost in the movie.
Yeah, when I went into this movie, I was going into it thinking it was going to be like Paranormal Activity, like where shit was gonna go down because of the fact that the trailer was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the scariest movie." This definitely was not a horror movie at all. Like you go I just loved that not knowing that it was gonna be the actual POV of the ghost itself. Like I loved how the camera moved and like there was parts of the movie where it would like go hide, and I just loved the way that it was filmed. I enjoyed the acting of everyone, even well, I have to say, I really hated freaking what was her name?
Lucy Liu.
Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
I love her as an
Like
actress,
Charlie's Angel.
but I hated her character in this movie. I wanted to just
And
throw
Ally
her
McBeal.
away.
Kill
Yeah.
Bill.
She was awful,
Sweet.
like, her staying on her phone and doing her emails but, like, me and Michael had this, like, thought at the end of the movie of, like, what if she was in on it?
Well, because there's a big plot hole that they never really talked about. Because she comes into the movie and you could tell she's going to be a fucking asshole in this movie.
Yeah.
But she's just like, we want this, 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 and this, and this house, and the husband has no say so in what goes on in the movie at all. And then you go on, and she is talking to somebody out on the porch on her phone because you see it like the ghost looking through the window, and you see her talking about something that is possibly going wrong. And then it cuts, and then you see her like drunk at the bar in their house, sitting with their son, and she's like, "Some people make mistakes, so other people can have like better, well, later on." And she's like, "Just know that I did all this for you."
Oh, to her son, right?
And then it goes on further, and you see the husband go outside because he has to talk to a friend about some legal advice, and he's like, "What if somebody in a marriage did something illegal? What would happen to the other spouse in that?" And you never find out what actually happened.
Mhm.
Even when they're about to leave for the trip at the end of the movie, they're like, "Oh, we should meet with this guy and just kind of see what he thinks."
Mhm.
And then there's never anything more of that.
Well, that was more of a catalyst to create a sense of tension between. Obviously, the family is not doing well,
Yeah.
and then it leads up to this moment where they have to leave for something else to occur.
Yeah.
That really kind of has been sort of building up like behind that.
I
And
think it was just something that I would have liked to have known. Did it take away from the movie? No. But I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I went into this movie watching it for the first time and had no idea the backstory about the said presence, I probably wouldn't have gotten a higher rating for it. But because I'm going through this whole movie, thinking like the daughter just lost her best friend and, that's very traumatic.
Two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very traumatic. She's obviously grieving. And then she starts experiencing these things, like her books were all on her bed and then they were, picked up by the presence and put on her, neatly on her thing. And then just seeing all these little things, like when she was with that dude and they started kissing and the whole bookshelf fell. And I'm
That
like,
part gave me the heebie-jeebies.
that part was a little bit of a jump scare for me, but I'm thinking this whole time, okay, maybe it's Nadia. Maybe it's her friend trying to like
Protect her.
protect
Yeah.
her, basically.
That's what I thought for a little moment. Yeah.
So the whole time I'm like thinking,
Well, Nadia's so sweet.
and then the psychic comes in and they basically they didn't hire her at first, but then the husband of the psychic was like, yeah,
Threw away this little story, a sympathy story.
Yeah, he gives this like sympathetic story about how, she usually has to take a couple days off of work because
She's exhausted.
yeah, mentally exhausted, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously the wife of the family was like, don't ever get her, we're not giving her any more money, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we didn't touch on before all this happened, she expresses at dinner that she is seeing things and feeling a
The
presence
daughter.
in the
Right.
house, the
Yeah.
daughter. And then the jackass of a brother
Oh yeah.
is like, you're fucking psycho. Like, you shouldn't be.
Well, it's because the mother made it all about him.
Yeah.
And so now, it's all about him.
They kind of had that relationship with both the kids, like the mama's boy and the daddy's girl, and they were kind of like playing off each other because the dad would get onto the son like, "Can you ever just stick up for her once?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there was a great line where he said to the son, there's an excellent man in there. I'd like to see him sometime. That was
soon.
Yeah, I'd like to
is
see
what
him.
he
So
said.
yeah, I'd like to see him soon.
I think at that point, the son started to realize, like, oh
Well,
shit, like,
No, because there was one altercation after that where
Oh,
the
yeah.
father actually stepped up over the
Well,
mother.
before that,
That's when he
know.
says, "Can you ever just stick up for her?"
Right,
when
you
they're on
come
the
at her
back
again
porch?
like
Oh,
that,
yeah,
I'll come
yeah.
at you. You know.
well, before that, you
Yeah.
leave the kitchen table. Like, he gets up, he walks away like a little dick, and he goes up in his. They go up. Start hearing things up in his room. Right, the ghost runs upstairs after he gets up and starts knocking shit off his shelves and like
Right.
all his trophies down, and like, you're
That
like,
was when they were talking about when he was doing that prank on Simone, I think it was.
oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it was that, not the table. They were sitting down at the couch.
And the mother thought it was hysterical and, was so interested in hearing about it. The father was drinking and he was just disgusted by it,
Then they found out
Yeah.
that girl's photos got leaked
on the internet.
Yeah,
Right?
and then and then you see the POV of the ghost running upstairs and start knocking shit off the walls.
Yeah.
And then you see the family run upstairs, and the girl was just standing in the middle of the room because she's like, "I'm okay, I'm fine." And then all the family's finally like, "Fuck, there's something in the house." We
That's
should've
when
just listened to
they
her.
start getting the psychic, which
Yeah.
is the realtor's friend, and obviously when the psychic comes to visit them, it's like she knows something.
Well, she walks
Yeah.
up to the door and she goes,
Yeah.
like, she feels that there's something.
And she's staring at, like, you can see her staring at the camera because obviously, like, the point of view is the present.
Well, that's another reason I love this movie too, is because there's a part where the girl, when they first buy the house, when they first go into the house, when there's nothing in it, she looks in the mirror and then she looks to like her left, straight at the presence, and that's so cool because like you're looking at her as a ghost,
Mhm.
and then like even the beginning scene where the house is empty and you just hear cars going by and you see the ghost walking through the house and then go into the closet to kind of like back away and
Mhm.
stuff like that. I love that.
Mhm.
I had the movie spoiled by TikTok, not the whole plot, but that you're in the point of view of the ghost. So I was like, okay, whatever.
But what was the psychic saying? She was saying something about the presence, how the presence didn't know,
Was confused.
was confused. It didn't know the time, like it was in the
didn't have
past, present, and
Yeah, it
future.
didn't have a linear time. Like,
Yeah, like past and present can exist at the same
yeah,
in the same instance,
Yeah.
and then also that it was confused. It knows it needs to do something, but it doesn't
Yeah,
know
doesn't have
what
a
it needs to
purpose,
do.
but it didn't know
Yeah,
what its purpose was.
yeah, that kind of gave me chills when she said
Yeah,
that. You know,
because I was like, okay, well, maybe it is Nadia, the friend that died, and maybe, she's just trying to figure out what to do to get to the afterlife, basically. That was my thought at first, and then that stupid friend.
yeah. The only thing I couldn't figure out is, okay, so if it were to be Nadia, why is it in their house?
Yeah, that's
Well, because the psychic says that she's an open door, and if we go
That's
back,
right.
if we go back to like Insidious, that kid is like a spirit,
Conduit,
a
yeah.
conduit, like a spirit plane.
Yeah.
Like, people can just leech onto him, and that's
Mhm.
what I was kind of thinking.
I don't know. I was just gonna say she looks super horrified when she turns around and looks at the presence. It like she almost recognizes it.
I think I felt like the psychic kind of knew, because the girl was like, "Is it Nadia? Like, is it her?" And then the psychic like looks at her, looks at the presence, and then it's like, did she know? Like, could she see him in the mirror? Because she looked at the mirror and she was like, "I love these old mirrors because they can, like, they keep like memories or something like that."
Yep.
Yeah. And then there was a point in the movie, like, because with the friend of the son's, I forget what his name was. He was just,
It's not relevant because he sucked.
yeah, he was a dildo. But
Mm.
I thought when he had put that stuff in the orange juice when they were first having the meetup or whatever, my whole thought was, well, maybe he's just doing this to loosen her up so they could get it on and everything. I went into this movie not thinking, maybe he's just gonna get her, loose and then they're gonna do stuff and whatnot. But that ending scene, or not ending scene, but towards the end of the movie, she was like, "My brother's gonna be here when my parents go out, and I need you to take care of my brother so we could do our stuff." And
And he's like, "Oh, Ambien will help."
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool, bro.
yeah, so
You suck.
he puts the brother to sleep, and then he goes up, and she's not about it at all because she's still grieving, and she thinks that she's not ready for a relationship, which most likely she's not.
Well, before this, let's take a step back and let's talk about when I went to the bathroom during the movie.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, when Michael went to the bathroom, I noticed a scene where the psychic had came back to the house, and the psychic and dad were outside discussing some things, and basically she was trying to tell the dad that she had a dream about a window that
Couldn't be opened.
that couldn't
Yeah.
be opened. She was like, "I saw a dream, a window couldn't be opened, something's gonna happen, I feel something bad happening." And the dad was just like, "I don't want you to come in
Get
the
outta
house.
here.
I don't
Yeah.
want nothing to do with you. We're not paying you no more." And then that was the end of it. So that really kind of foreshadows what's to come in the end of this movie. But when towards the end, when we find out that she wanted nothing to do with that relationship, she just kind of wanted to be her own self, and then he drugs her and
Well, because the whole thing, he's like, "You're in control. Like, this is about you. What do you want?" And then he puts, he gives the brother Ambien. They take some shots together. See the brother fall asleep. The dickhead's like, "Yo, you awake? You good?" And then like he gets another drink, pours what we later find out is synthetic fentanyl into the drink and just knocks her out. Like it just puts her to sleep. And then
she's aware. Like she's
Yeah.
aware of everything. She just
Can't talk or
she
move.
can't talk, move. She's immobilized.
and then, he talks to her and like starts being like, "Oh, well, you're still in control. But then I took that control away from you. And now you have control again, but I'm taking it back away from you."
Cause I had no, like, I went into that whole scene thinking, well, he's just gonna sexually assault her. Like,
Mhm.
that's just
And
kind
then
of
the
like
ghost is going to come in and save it all. Like the ghost going to, because you hear those like weird, like ethereal sounds that are like, whoa, 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 whoa.
like
whoa,
what
whoa,
you
whoa,
would
whoa.
hear in like paranormal activity, kind of like when something.
And I was like,
yeah,
maybe
rumbling.
maybe the presence is just going to like push him off of her and maybe kill him or something, And then he takes like and I was kind of confused on this too. And I was just thinking about this. He pulls out that little tube out of his book bag, which is it saran wrap?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a little thing of saran wrap or is that
Yeah.
the synthetic fentanyl?
It's saran wrap.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was thinking maybe that's like a film of synthetic fentanyl that she's breathing in.
There was another point I was
Yeah.
gonna make too, that when he first was trying to drug her to get her loose, the cup that he sits down on her nightstand, the presence knocks it off and basically saves her from
Well,
drinking it the first time.
Yeah, that was a little the time before,
The
right?
second time she drinks it all, the presence doesn't do anything. And I think that has a lot to say with
Well, the presence couldn't have done anything because you find out that, the brother's still asleep. And then the presence goes down there and uses like literally all of its power
To wake him
to
up.
wake him up. And he's stumbling and he calls out her name, runs upstairs and sees what he's going on and tackles him through a window. And they both fall out the window and die. But the spirit couldn't have done anything to her because you find out later on that the spirit is that guy.
Tyler.
Her
It's
brother.
Tyler.
Yeah.
But if the spirit would have done anything, she wouldn't have died and Tyler wouldn't have died and there wouldn't have been a spirit.
Well, it couldn't have been.
Yeah, there couldn't have been
Yeah.
a spirit because he wouldn't have died in the future.
Yeah.
It's almost like where the two planes met up when they're both running up the stairs and he jumps out the window, because then the presence stops and it's like where the two meet. But then whenever they're talking about the girls that passed away in the beginning, they were like, oh, they found drugs in her system, and those poor girls, they just fell asleep and never woke up. And that's what he was doing with that saran wrap, was like slowly
Yeah.
suffocating, because there'd be no strangulation marks, and there would be no, it would look like an overdose. I'm sure they would
Yeah,
realize that like she ran out of air and she's asphyxiated, but I thought that was really weird.
That was super, like,
That's kind of stressful.
It's chilling.
he was definitely,
He sucked.
that was a pretty big twist in my part, because I thought, like I said, I thought he was just going to sexually assault her and that was going to be it. And then, the movie would go on, kind of thing. But when he brought out that tube thing, I was like, what is this? And then he started just talking crazy shit, and yeah, that was crazy.
I think it was ripped, by the way. Like,
Okay.
ripped.
Yeah, that doesn't make
But
up
still,
for
well,
him
well,
being a
well,
creeper.
it doesn't make up for him being a creeper, but like you see that like her brother is like, well, I made friends with this really popular guy that I would have never made friends with anywhere else. Like, don't fuck this up for me. Like,
Yeah.
stop being weird. Don't fuck this up for me. I need this guy in my life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what.
Well, until he found out what this guy was all about.
Did he know that they were together at all?
No.
I don't think that's why, like, they never really met up unless he was either gone or the dude drugged
I mean, I
him.
would have been weirded out the first time he came over because, like, they went upstairs and he was like, "Oh, do you want to meet my sister?" And like they open the door and they're like, "Hey," and she's like, "Hey," and then they go into his room, and then he's like, he indirectly was like, "Yeah, your sister's hot," and I was like, "That's kind of strange." Like,
Yeah.
I would not be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like that's weird.
And then you notice at the end of the film, the only time and my brother was explaining this to me, the only time the spirit ever goes outside is when it's freed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when it's fulfilled its purpose.
Before
you know?
that, you see them both die. They both fall out of the window, and then it cuts to black.
Mhm.
And then it comes back, and you see an empty
The house is empty, right? They moved. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I read before we get into the ending part, what I read is, and I agreed with this too, because I had to read about this at the end. Like it was one of those movies where I just had to know more and more about this movie.
It keeps you thinking.
And so you're following the presence, which you find out is later the future version of Tyler just protecting his sister, because that's the presence's purpose, right? And then you see him going through all these rooms, like knocking his shit down and all this stuff. And you think that like his future version is realizing how shitty of a person he was. So he's going through like doing all these things because he was so shitty. And then you see the presence back into the corner a lot. Like he goes into the closet and then kind of faces a different way because
Yeah,
he's like,
when him and that girl were, or when the dude and the sister were fucking.
yeah. But was Tyler just like kind of ashamed of like what kind of person he was and like how shitty he was, and he was just kind of backing into the corner?
Well, I thought the room trashing part at one point was just a distraction, because I think something else was going on and he runs upstairs and like trashes the room. I think that was a distraction to get them to all come upstairs from whatever it is, or like,
Well, the
like I
distraction.
am here.
Well, at that point, it was like they were talking about, and we talked about this when you were in the bathroom just a second ago, but like that was when they were talking about the prank that Tyler had played on the girl.
See, that's when I thought it was Nadia, because I was like, well, maybe she's freaking pissed
Yeah, she's mad.
that the brother did this to a poor girl, and the presence is just pissed.
But was it a distraction to get them up there to show himself, or was it himself going upstairs and trashing his own room because he was ashamed of the shitty kind of person he was?
I feel like he was ashamed.
Both.
I think it was both. I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of like that a voyeuristic kind of point of view. Like he would watch for a little bit, and then sometimes he would go into the closet.
Right, and he would react some way or another.
Yeah, or just go into the closet and hide. Like when they were having sex, he went into the closet and turned towards the shirts and just didn't watch at all. And I was like, that's kind of cool. But it makes sense that the presence was her brother. I wouldn't want to watch that either. But then, yeah, like you said, we see them die. You go downstairs. The house is empty. And I was like, maybe this is a flashback. to the very first part of the movie where the house is empty. Then I realized the walls are painted a different color.
Right.
And then you go
And then
down-
he shows himself to the mother.
Yeah, you go downstairs. The mom is like
And then she's done.
Hysterically
she's
crying.
sad, and like the daughter comes up to her and is like comforting her finally.
Mhm.
And she's super weak at that point. And then she kind of feels something and walks through the house into the mirror that the psychic walks to, and you see Tyler in that mirror, and then she just lets loose.
Yeah.
Like she's done.
And then you see the
spirit leaves.
yep,
Yeah, and
spirit
that's what I was
fulfilled
like,
its
Whitney, I was like,
duties.
it's leaving. It's leaving. And because the door opens up and then you see it just kind of float out, and then you see an aerial shot and it zoom up, and then you see white as the sky because it was a gloomy day, of course.
Right. But then you see it almost like pixelate. You know,
Mhm.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting.
I like
It
that.
was a very emotional movie for me. Like, you know, just the losing of a friend, and then, you know, the tension between the family, and then finding out that it was actually the brother. I mean, it just had so many emotions. Like I said, this was definitely not a horror movie. I feel like it was just a psychological drama.
Well, I feel like I said in the last episode, just because a movie isn't scary doesn't mean it's not a horror movie. This
That's true.
still had horror aspects. Like when
Yeah.
when the shelf fell, I got heebie-jeebies, and the same
Oh,
heebie-jeebies
when-
like I felt in Paranormal Activity, and then immediately after he breathed on her,
Yeah, that's what I was
and I was like,
gonna
oh,
say.
that gave me a little chilly willies too.
Well, there's still supernatural, you know, it's a supernatural story. So
Yeah.
people tend
Yeah,
to lump
I
that
feel
in.
like
And when the stuff was floating off the bed, I was like, this is a really cool scene. Like,
that
Yeah.
was really cool.
because you
But
didn't see anything, you were
yeah.
seeing the point of view of the presence picking up stuff, but the presence isn't there, so you don't see it pick it up, and it's just kind of floating. That was cool. I thought I was gonna write her a little note,
Hmm.
but then it would have gave it away.
I
Or
thought
a
it was
little
gonna
heart
start
note.
throwing the books and stuff. Like I had no idea.
The thing is, you know, when it's a spirit, it's not self-aware, obviously.
Yeah.
So it learning, you know, sort of like watching and figuring out what it had to do, like throughout the course of the film.
Mhm.
I thought was, you know, there's no ego to that, where when he was alive, it was all ego.
Oh,
You know, so that was a really neat contrast. Once you figure out what's really going on.
But like you said earlier, I really did like that scene where they're all like freaking out, and the ghost is watching from inside, and they're on the deck,
Yeah.
and the guy is still a fucking dick. And the dad gets up and is like, you need to stick up for her. Like, this is the last time it's going to happen. And you kind of see the mom jump in a little bit, and the dad gets louder.
Right. Yeah. He said, you come at her like that again, I'm going to come at you. And the kid backs right the fuck
Yeah.
off.
That was what I needed from
you
that
know?
dad.
Yeah, absolutely. He had it at that point.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like
good.
enough.
Yeah.
And even he cuts the mother off,
Yeah.
walks right past her. You know, it's like, okay, I know this is your baby, but
Fuck
know,
off.
yeah, enough.
I mean, because
you know?
at the beginning of the movie, the mom's walking in, and they're like, well, is this really good for her? Like, the dad says that. And the mom's like, well, it's not
All
life
she
and-
needs is time.
Yeah, all she needs is time, and it's not life and death. And then the dad's like, well, it kind of was death. Like,
Yeah.
because, you know, 2 deaths led them to move and get
Yeah.
a new house. And then when they're sitting at the bar together, the dad and the mom, he's like, why do you only pick options where we have to do absolutely no work?
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I do nothing at all. I'm like, bitch, you do nothing. Like,
Yeah.
you suck.
And she
Yeah.
said nothing at all.
Nothing at all. And
At
then she-
all? That
At
was so
all. And then
funny.
she goes into the next room. Like, you live in an open floor plan house. Going into your dining room, like 10 feet away, is not doing anything.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with the father was, the mother was very reductive when it came to the daughter, and the father was trying to be inclusive with the son, but he was so just like full of himself because of the mother. And so it was, the father was making the effort with the real effort, and the mother was just kind of fucking things up.
Because the mother was
Yeah.
obsessed with the son. She was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
at that scene where they're sitting in the bar and she's shit-faced, she's like, I'm doing this all for you. You're going to find out later on that I'm doing this all for you. And she's like,
And even the brother says, well, what about,
well, yeah, because she's
Yeah.
like, you're the first person I've ever truly had this connection with, and like the only human that I feel like I had this connection with. And the brother's like, well, what about the sister? And she's like, well, yeah, but
It's
I'm
just different.
Yeah.
Well, then even when they're picking the house, she's like, the dad's like, do you think that she's ready? And she's like, well, she'll get over it. And, this is just in time for him to start swim or whatever it is that he does. And then the part where he's telling the whole family about the horrible prank they pulled. And she's just like, oh my gosh, you guys are terrible. And like the dad's like, this is actually repulsive what you're doing.
The kid says fuck every like 2 seconds. And the dad's like,
didn't need the enhancer on that
yeah,
one.
we didn't need any emphasis on that. Like,
Still not enhancing the sentence.
Yeah, I think the dad finally realized that he needed to put his foot up their asses, basically, when he was sitting and eating his TV dinner and having a glass of wine. I think he finally had some time to really sit there and think about, like, okay, like, I really need to start stepping it up and really voicing my opinion on this whole matter, because I think he had enough.
Well, when he was outside talking to his friend about the legalities of what was going on, how is it going to affect the other person? I thought he was considering possibly like divorce.
That's what I was thinking too.
at one point, but then later on he says we're going to do this together, and it's like you find out that he really is like the stand-up adult in the family.
I kind of had this weird thought that the mom was in on it the whole time because of those legality things that we never found out. But it eventually got debunked. But it was like a thought I had in my head.
Like, did she sell the drugs to the kid? And
because the legalities of the mom doing one thing and the other spouse not having.
And then her email got hacked.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I thought she might have been cheating or something, because when he comes into the bedroom and she's on her laptop, she like turns it all around and is like
very secretive.
Being very
Yeah.
secretive. She's doing something super weird. Every time she's on the computer, she like, I think in their kitchen at one point, he comes behind her and she closes it. So I thought that was another little weird thing that they didn't tie up. I thought she might have either been cheating and he was going to divorce her or something.
She was in on some weird thing.
Something.
Well, she talks about they talk about a percentage a lot of like, and I was like, well, maybe she's a realtor and she's buying a house or something like that. But I don't know. It was something that didn't tie up that I wish I kind of knew more information about, but I don't really feel like I need more information about.
No, I think it ended the way that it needed to end.
Agreed.
I really liked the movie. I feel like it took a different route on a traditional ghost story. Like, it's something that I haven't ever seen before. Like, normally ghost and entity movies are, scary, like Paranormal Activity or, Entity or Oddity.
It gave me like Paranormal Activity vibes too, because the cuts were so abrupt.
Yeah.
Like, you'd follow the ghost would do something, and then it would just cut, and then you're in another scene.
Yeah.
Which is what Paranormal Activity did.
Yeah. But I like that it took a different route than, like I said, the traditional other horror movies that are out. And I love that Soderbergh he explored a new storytelling technique, because what other movie did he do? Contagion. So that was, I wouldn't say, it was kind of like
Contagion was another kind of like weird
psychological drama virus movie, kind of thing. But I liked his take on this. I think he did a really good job. And I don't really have anything bad about, other than like wanting to know like what the legalities were, like that the husband was talking about and all that.
I wanted to know.
I don't think that I needed to know, kind of.
I didn't need to know, but I want to.
Yeah. So I like that after the movie, I was like, I kept thinking, like, until I figured out exactly like what was happening, like who the presence actually was. Like, it kept my mind wondering, like, okay, like this makes a lot of sense now once I figured it out.
Yeah, like we left the theater and I was like, I like that movie. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And then she went to the bathroom, and then the whole time she was in the bathroom, I was Googling. I needed to know. But then I saw Soderbergh's explanation of it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, because
Cool.
like, if you wouldn't have known like about the presence or anything, I probably would have given it a lower rating. But once you figure it out and know, it's like, holy crap, okay, this is.
Well, that was everybody's outlook. That was Sydney's outlook. Sydney was like 6.
I was a 6, and then the more of it got explained to me by his brother, and I was like, it's now a 7. I like it.
I'm actually gonna give this a 8, maybe almost a 9. Just
I
because
gave
it's
it
like,
an 8 out of 10.
it's a different point of view. Like I liked watching this family fall apart. from a,
God.
from a different aspect. You know, I it was cool because you weren't watching it. Listen, should I feel sorry for them? Maybe. Did I like watching them fall apart? Yes.
Mm.
But the value of the movie. Okay.
Girl almost died, bro.
It wasn't. I didn't like that. I liked watching the mom be a fucking asshole.
Dysfunction, love it.
Yeah, I love dysfunction. I liked watching them
enough.
fall apart, but I liked watching them not from a camera angle, from a point of view of somebody else that was in the house that you didn't know that was there.
Yeah.
That's what you were following. You were following that family just fucking fall apart. Like everything in that family was falling apart. Even the husband who was talking to his friend was like telling him about the legalities, and then his friend that he hadn't talked to in a while was like, "Well, how are you?" And he was like, "I'm not fucking good.
Yeah.
Like I'm done." And then he starts crying. Like seeing a grown man cry, that's
emotional.
That's emotional.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, they're really falling apart. And they were falling apart.
Yeah.
Shit was breaking apart.
Like it got to the point where even the daughter, like she was into that dude at first,
She
like
was really into that dude.
and then like she just realized that like I'm not done grieving. I cannot handle another relationship, and I'm kind of glad that never went anywhere.
And
I
she
mean,
got
it sucked the way that it.
well, she got stronger than she had gotten
happened.
in the whole movie. And then then it was all taken away from her because she had the power. She had the power to say no to that guy.
Right.
She had the power at first, and then, he was gonna take it away, and then the ghost took the drink away, and then he gave her the power back
When she said no.
when she said
'Cause
no.
she hadn't said no to him really up until
She
that
hadn't
point.
said no, and then when
He
she
didn't
gave
like
her
that very
when he
much.
gave her the drug again, he took the power back, and then he kept the power that time.
Well, except for she, at the end of the film, she showed a lot of strength because she was there to comfort her mother,
Yeah.
who was really shitty to her.
No, the whole time.
But that showed a strength in her that she had, from that point
Yeah.
moving forward, Yeah, it was really interesting because it's like the death of this kid in the family. It almost like kind of glued them back together in a way.
Yeah, they were falling apart.
Yeah.
And then they lost a kid, and then it was like,
It's weird.
what? Oh, a robot litter box that's gone off.
Yeah, but this movie, it was a good concept, different concept, something you wouldn't normally think about when you're going into this movie. It definitely is. I say 8 out of 10 for me, and I feel like people should watch it.
Yeah, I have a high 8, 9 for this movie.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to give it an 8.
But
Thought it was very well done. The cinematography, the camera movements were very fluid.
Which is crazy because it was filmed on such a cheap camera.
Yeah.
Like we go into all these cameras every episode, and I'm like, oh, they're filming on an Arri Alexa, and I'm like, that's a Goals camera, but a Goals camera that I just don't need because it's a $80,000 camera. They filmed this on a $5,000 camera.
Yeah.
With a $300 gimbal that I have in my closet. Like that's crazy.
Mhm.
And but it was done so well, and like you could even see that it was filmed like that when you were walking down the stairs and like towards these weird shadowy parts where you couldn't see anything. And it's because those cameras don't have a high enough dynamic range to pick up those shadows, and it's just dark.
Yeah.
You have to expose for those light parts, but if you go into a dark part, it's not going to be as exposed because the dynamic range isn't so high. It's not picking up all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, but this movie was good, and I think everyone that hasn't seen it should definitely see it. And I think we're excited for what's to come for 2025. There's a bunch of movies coming out.
So far, it's my favorite movie of 2025.
Yeah, so far. I feel
You've
like
seen like 2.
Okay, so far, it's the best out of those 3 that I've seen now because we saw Nosferatu. Trash.
Yeah, that was 2024 though.
But I saw it in 2025. So
right,
it counts
right.
as my 2025 movies.
Right.
And then I saw Wolfman. Space Man.
we're not even going to discuss that
We
movie.
don't need to. I took
There's
it
no
off
need
the
to.
2025 list
Oh wow.
because you guys haven't seen it, and I
Yeah.
didn't feel like it was worthy enough to talk about in my book.
Okay.
And
I feel
Rotten
like you
Tomatoes will
guys
tell
need
you
to
the same.
see it to develop your own opinion on it.
And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we will.
But
What are some movies that we're excited to see, guys?
Companion.
Yeah. Companion's a good one.
with Sophie Thatcher,
Mm.
who is
Love her.
a current Scream Queen.
So I was watching a video that she's such a good crier on camera. Like, you know how most of the times they have to come in and like bring in something to make like an
Mhm.
actress or actor like
I
cry.
saw this interview.
She can do the
She
one
can pick
eye
which
tear.
eye she wants to cry from.
And she has such these like big baleful eyes, and she just cries so well. She's just so good. I love it. I'm so ready.
She reminds me a lot of Anya Taylor-Joy, and we talked
Yeah.
about this in when we were doing Heretic. But then it's got Jack Quaid in it, and Jack Quaid is in The Boys.
Mm.
He is
I
awesome in
love
The Boys.
him.
But he's also in a new movie coming up too called Novocaine that I saw the little standee for at the movie theater. So I don't know anything about that movie. It doesn't probably pertain to this podcast at all. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Companion.
What's some other movies you guys are excited about?
Well, I'm looking forward to Hard Eyes too.
Yeah.
Ash.
The monkey.
Well, Hard Eyes looks great.
Yeah, the monkey
The
for
monkey.
sure.
Hard Eyes for us is going to be, it's going to hit a lot of tomes with me because I'm a slasher guy. Slashers
Yeah, I'm
are
excited
my
to
thing.
see a new take on a slasher film.
Well, we're going to see if it's a new take on a slasher film.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a stereotypical slasher film? We don't know. It's getting good critic reviews.
That one
Mm.
gore scene in the trailer, holy crap.
Yeah.
That was intense.
But then Sydney's excited for Until Dawn.
Until Dawn.
I could see the
That's gonna
love in
be
her
cool.
eyes when we were watching the trailer for it.
Super excited for Until
Until Dawn's
Dawn.
going to be great. Should we
Yeah.
play the video game again before then?
Yes.
Yeah.
We should both as couples. You guys play it. We'll play it. You can couch co-op it too.
We can all
I-
play it together and
I mean,
decide.
we could.
Yeah.
That could be
And stream
fun.
it.
Couch co-op.
Maybe. That's what it's called in the game.
That's awesome.
So far, what I'm seeing the most excited I am is for the new 28 Years Later. I'm
Well, we know
so
you guys are excited
stoked
about that.
Absolutely.
about that. I'm so excited to see what they
Great
do.
trailer for that.
Yeah, I definitely need to go back and rewatch the first two.
But we have so many movies that I honestly thought about. We have Frankenstein. Guillermo
That's
del
right.
Toro's
Yeah,
Frankenstein.
definitely want to see that.
But then we have its co-partner, The Bride.
But that's a musical.
There's going to be
But-
Return to Silent Hill.
Do we need a Return to Silent
I
Hill?
haven't even seen
Well,
any
yeah,
of them, so
because,
no.
look, the first Silent Hill I thought was
Was great.
great.
Second
Second was garbage.
Yeah, I didn't
But
like the second one.
this
Never seen
one
any
is
of
by the people who made the first one.
Okay,
So
cool.
that I'm looking forward to.
But The Bride, I like Maggie Gyllenhaal. This is her
I do too.
first
Yeah.
directorial movie.
Christian Bale's in it.
Christian Bale is in it. Penelope Cruz is in it. So that'd be pretty good.
I don't
I'll check it
really, You
out.
said that one's a musical?
Yeah.
I'm not really into musicals, but I will give it a chance.
Well, I'll fucking sing some songs.
I think I'm most excited for Final Destination Bloodlines.
That was going to be my
Final
next one.
Destination has a spot in my heart.
I love all of those movies. I forget how many there are.
Too many.
There's a lot.
But now we're getting more.
I've only seen 2.
Each
Okay.
of the
You've seen-
movies
missed like
are each of the movies are different in their unique way. Like it's not like
16.
Oh, there's like 6.
you know, different. Are y'all having a side convo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Side quest. Side kitty.
But like I was saying, like all of the Final Destination movies, they're all different, but they kind of all tie in together.
Well, they do all tie in together because it all started from one thing, and then they all kind of just like even the first two. You know, the first one they have a premonition that the plane's gonna explode, and then the second one they talk about the plane exploding,
Mm.
and it just keeps going on from that. I
Yeah.
love those movies. There was a point in time where they would come on Tubi every night, and we would watch them every night. I'm excited for that one. But one movie that I'm excited about there's 2 movies that I'm excited about. We have an untitled Conjuring movie coming, which is going to be the last Conjuring movie,
Mhm.
which is going to be awesome.
I've enjoyed those.
I love Conjuring
Mhm.
movie. But then we have a new Saw movie coming out.
11. There is 11
11
Saw movies.
motherfucking Saws.
I liked Saw. Like I enjoyed Jigsaw. I enjoyed the last Saw movie. A lot of people have, different opinions
Saw
on
X?
it. I
10.
think it was Saw
Yeah.
X, yeah.
But then there was that spinoff too.
Spiral. I haven't seen
Spiral.
that.
It was good.
That was good.
It was a different take on Saw.
Okay.
I feel like the series needed a different take. Did it do good? I don't think it did. But I liked it. We saw it in theaters.
Yeah. We also, I think, saw Jigsaw too, right?
Yes. I've seen them all. I didn't see, when I was in high school, Saw came out, and I had never seen it. And then I watched it, and I went and saw Saw 2 in theaters, and the theater was packed. This is when movie theaters were still like packed on release.
Sure.
In like the first couple of days, and it was a great experience. And then after that, I just kind of fell in love with them, and I haven't stopped since then.
Yeah, I saw the first two in the theater.
I'm also excited for that Locked. Is it called Locked?
Yeah,
Lost
with
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a different because I want to. He plays in it.
Well, we know you love Bill Skarsgård.
Yes, that's not.
When the trailer
a
came on, she
question.
said,
I was like, "Ooh,
Shut up.
baby." No, but in all seriousness, like I
I
want
was
to
just
see
thinking how much you looked like Eminem.
or MGK.
Oh, fuck.
I got MGK. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, when I saw this movie, I wanted because he's usually in character like it's Pennywise. He played Nosferatu.
Well, Jason said when we saw
Um,
the trailer that he had just dyed his hair blonde and removed a couple tattoos from his crow rule.
Right. He just left the rest of the makeup on. It's like, fuck it, I'll do this movie.
But yeah, but I'm excited for this for the mere fact that it's mainly focusing on him, like not. Yes, he was the main character in all these other movies, and then also Anthony Hopkins, like as a villain again. That's gonna be cool.
I don't know necessarily whether we need Anthony Hopkins in it. I don't think
It's
Could have
gonna
been like
be
anybody.
it could have really been anybody.
Yeah, but I
But
think
depending
it's
on how
cool.
much he actually is in the movie. Because in the trailer, he's only in like the last part of the movie when the car stops and he opens the door and he's like, "You've been in my car."
Yeah. Did you say, what is that, Jarvis?
Yeah, it sounded like Jarvis.
It did sound like Jarvis.
It did. It sounded like Jarvis.
That's why I'm laughing. It's funny.
But I'm excited for that one. I think I don't know. I love anything Bill Skarsgård plays in, regardless if it's bad or good or whatever. So
I mean, then we have
we have Megan 2.0.
Megan 2.0.
Yeah.
You guys
Which
haven't seen Megan.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm not having high
We don't
expectations.
need
I
any
feel
more
like
AI movies.
it's one of those movies. It's just entertaining.
Well, I did see some things about Megan 2.0 that it's not just going to be focused on Megan. It's going to be focused on a version of Megan that's in like that the military uses.
Mm.
And then Megan and Chucky are gonna fuck.
And then they're gonna have
A weird kid.
Tegan 3.0.
Chegan. What was their kid? What was Chucky and Tiffany's?
I
called?
don't know. Charles.
Cody?
No, it wasn't Cody.
Oh, what was it?
I just know that he was non-binary, which was hilarious for the movie because the Chucky movies just like stepped into like weird things that they probably shouldn't have, but it was hilarious.
I can't think of his name.
Shelton?
No, hold on.
If you were to say it, I'd be like, yeah, that's it.
Sullivan?
No,
Sullivan.
Tyler?
no.
Glenda.
It was Glenn. It was
Glenn and Glenda.
It was Glenn, but when he transitioned, he was Glenda.
Did that really happen?
Yes.
Yes. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I just remember it being totally
I remember
unhinged.
working at Spencer's in Roanoke, and there was a guy that got hired when I started working there that looked just like Glenda.
Oh, God.
Well, not Glenda, Glenn.
That's horrifying.
Glenn. Not
That's
Glenda.
horrifying.
Oh.
And I was like, fuck.
So
His name was Aiden.
But yeah,
Oh.
there's a lot of there's a lot of 2025 movies that I'm excited to see because, like, obviously the beginning of 2025, we're not getting really too many good releases to be expected.
We're getting
but
January releases, but January's been a pretty good.
It's not.
fucking
It's not
month.
been terrible.
Yeah.
We definitely need to watch the Peter Pan movie.
Yeah, that I've been hearing some really good things
I've
about
heard
it.
I
that
actually have been too.
I heard that you don't go into it expecting it to be great, but more so entertaining.
Well, we also have FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy.
Right. And then Popeye.
Popeye.
Oh my god, is he gonna eat too much spinach?
And kill people with the
Well, we have-
spinach
I
breath.
don't know. I'd rather go out and
Smart.
get Popeyes, but
We have Black Phone 2.
Oh, I'm
No, that's
excited for
right.
that.
Black Phone 1 didn't do much for me.
It was creepy in a way.
Five Nights at Freddy's did something for me because of Matthew Lillard.
Oh yeah, definitely.
boy,
Well, other than that, like we don't have much going on except for like the stuff we haven't gotten trailers for. We have Sinners.
that also looks really good.
Sinners looks great.
The woman in
Oh,
the
Yellow
yard.
Jacket season 3.
I don't.
Yeah.
We don't care about the woman in the yard.
Yeah,
I
we
do.
recently.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I feel
I'll
like
go see it with
No,
her.
we'll go see it.
But,
No,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to go see this one without you.
all right,
Yeah,
whatever.
we're going with
Yeah.
Sydney.
Whatever.
And there we go.
Going without all. I'm taking Whitney.
Wow.
Me and
There
Whitney
you
are
go.
going.
Me and Jason are
We're
going
gonna
to go see
have
the
a
Sinners.
date.
That's right.
Girl
Me and
date.
Jason are going on a date.
I don't know, but if you call it a date, but
I'm
we'll
gonna
go
put a hole
see
in
a
the- I'm
movie.
gonna put a hole in the popcorn.
I'll sit next to you in the theater, but I ain't gonna put my hand in the bucket if you're holding it. It's just the way it's gonna go down.
Holding it or holding it?
Hold
Both.
He said holding.
Both.
He wants to
Um,
hold it.
That's really, I mean, that's really it.
Yep.
That's what we got. We got some things coming out that are probably going to be released that we haven't seen trailers for. We haven't seen trailers for Saw, Conjuring, Frankenstein.
in good time.
We'll
Yep.
get all those. We'll get
I
on-
think the next episode we're gonna discuss Companion and what we think about that. And I think that's just gonna be just kind of like a solo episode. We're gonna probably mix in some AI movies that we've seen to kind of, compare it to and whatnot. But other than that, yeah, I'm excited to see what the next episodes are going to entail.
Well, it may be a companion. It may be Hard Eyes. We're going to leave you guys wondering what's next.
Dun dun dun.
Anyways, thanks for listening. You guys can follow us all on all our social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, well, X.
Threads.
Jason, have you started Blue Skies yet?
I have a Blue Sky account. I've been on it since I opened it.
We're going to be there. That's going to be an
So,
ongoing joke.
I don't even remember.
It's gonna
I don't even remember the password and username. So
And also keep an eye out on the TikTok because now that TikTok is back to fully kind of functioning, we're
90
gonna
days.
post some content on there and just keep an eye out on that.
all right.
Yeah, we have some cool stuff. Make sure to follow us on all our socials. Leave a review if you like what you hear. Helps us push us up into the algorithm a little bit more and gets us more exposure.
Yep. Stay spooky, my friends.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Word.
Bye.
Okay, bye.